Good evening, everyone. So here we are with another rocking sessions of NEP from the IIU University. And I'm here to moderate the session for the wonderful speakers over here. And considering the talks that we are going to do today, let us all have an interactive session today. So I'm myself Sonal Judge. I'm an educationist and a ECC trainer, teacher trainer, and an award-winning editor. So here I would like to introduce you with about IIU. International Internship University is a leading virtual education system and a global brand confederation, which is the most valuable and trusted worldwide and well reputed in delivering innovative programs. IIU is committed to providing highest quality education to all the learners of the globe, regardless of social or economic background. IIU is providing access to more than 1,000 plus courses and internships to their e-learners across the globe with the help of its committed, experienced, and high caliber global educators. In a short span of time, IIU has spread its wings in 195 countries and 6 continents under the strong leadership of its visionary founder, Mr. Piyush Pandit sir, a committed and inspiring social activist, a passionate educationist from the last 2 decades, providing education to students from various social and cultural backgrounds. Piyush Pandit has publicized the World Education Policy, One Education, One Foundation, and One World. IIU has taken the initiative to reach every learner in rural as well as urban areas through the Vidyanjali project, an initiative by the Ministry of Education, Government of India, to provide higher education as well as vocational training along with international opportunities. IIU is a revolution in education. What a wonderful profile of the founder. So he has collaborated each and every one of us under one wing to help the educators learn, unlearn, and relearn. That is what is called a healthy learning ecosystem. So today, before I start this session, I would like to introduce you to our one of the wonderful panelists and esteemed speaker. She is none other than Arpita Ghosh ma'am, a certified life coach and soft skills trainer. Her life mission in the line is empowering individuals, touching lives. She has trained not middle and senior management, but also conducted sessions for school principals and teachers. Use of expressive arts makes her training module unique and experiential. A media professional prior to her life's calling of a counselor, Mrs. Ghosh is an approved voice of AIR, All India Radio, and Doordarshan, Mumbai. A corporate filmmaker, screenplay writer for teleserial, Miss Arpita Ghosh has also acted in a film Mumbai Central. Wow, ma'am. Her never say no attitude to do and learn gives her the title of being a poet, an author, a TEDx speaker, a solo traveler, a journalist, and a spiritual seeker, which made her realize what matters most is what remains after we drop all the labels. Counseling individuals to reclaim their power and work on self-development, Arpita Ghosh is currently associated with Christ, that is the Deemed University, Lavasa, Pune. Wow, ma'am. Wonderful to see you and privileged to have you under your wings to see what is counseling actually about. Before I start the session, ma'am, I would like to just ask you one question that according to you, what do you think the term word counseling signifies? You may start, the platform is all yours, ma'am.
Okay, all right. According to me, what does the term counseling mean? I think counseling is not about advising. Counseling is more about asking the right questions by first listening, giving a total patient listening to the other person, hearing them out, and afterwards giving them the right questions to help them find the right directions. Because most often in our life, we find nobody really has the time to listen to us. And there's so much that each one of us have. And I think coming from the background of psychology, every human being has 3 basic core needs: to be seen, to be heard, and to be valued. So when we talk about counseling, it's also about validating the other person's existence, validating the way that person feels. And I think that matters a lot. So, yes, I hope I answered that question of yours, Sonal.
Yeah, this is, yeah, you may continue, ma'am, with your
Oh, okay,
speech.
all
Yeah,
right.
please carry on
Okay.
forward. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So when I look at counseling, and of course I am associated with the counseling of the Educational Institute, and when I was in school, college, not that we had so much of, like counseling and counselors, but today counseling has come up in a big, big way. Schools require counselors. Any educational institute also requires counselors. And mind you, when we talk about counselors, we are not just talking about the mental health or just that, a person has a problem or an issue. Because beginning from the educational institute, why does a child need counseling? I mean, there are so many different areas. One is when the child is not paying attention in the class. Sometimes it may be because they're not really interested in the subject. Sometimes the teacher's favoritism has also affected the student's lack of interest. And as a counselor, it becomes our job to explore why is the student not interested in this particular subject. So attendance monitoring, I mean, since of course K-12 also is looking into this, but I am with the higher education, and our focus becomes on monitoring the attendance and exploring why is a student not attending particular subjects. In fact, what happens with us sometimes we find, because at Christ, I'm sure everyone is aware, we are very particular about the 85% attendance. So there are times when a student may have 90, 94, and when I do a random check, I realize that this student is missing the first hours consecutively. And then when I call that student and start exploring, like, why? Like, I mean, why are you missing the first hour classes? Then I get to know that, okay, not getting sleep, disturbed sleep, not able to wake up in the morning. And then when we start exploring further, that why is the sleep disturbed? What is it? So many things come up. And by the end of, opening up, they're like, ma'am, I'm feeling so light. So that's one part of counseling, like, I mean, where we're just, what we begin with is just a simple attendance monitoring over here. Other than that, of course, we have the academic counseling. Now, academic counseling is more about when you are monitoring how is the academic performance of the student, the tests, the mid-sem exams, how is the child performing? And at every stage, we keep the parents in the loop, and which is important because if the parents are not kept in the loop, then there are times when they just turn around and say, "Mujhe to pata hi nahi tha," like I was never told. This is the first time I'm hearing about it. So academic counseling also again helps us to understand where does the child need help. Sometimes they've not understood the concept. They are not willing to show that weakness of theirs because of lack of confidence. So then it becomes working on the student at two levels. One is helping that student to understand the subject better. The other is helping that student to build up the confidence in them. And largely what I have seen wherever I'm dealing, again, whether it is at school level, whether it is at college level, even at the training programs that I do at corporate, there are two basic things that every individual requires, and that is belief in the self, that is self confidence and self esteem. If these two are healthy and in place, I think we are really sorted in life. Then everything else, like, just starts falling into place. So attendance monitoring, attendance counseling, academic counseling, and then it comes down to the personal issues. Now, personal issues of students, I think there are n number of issues that comes up, and probably there's again so much. It's not just about technology; it's about the kind of families we have moved into. From a large traditional joint family to a nuclear family, from a nuclear family to an only sibling, which has left the child like, not much scope to really build up that trust also. Because ours is a residential campus. So what happens is like, sometimes it becomes very difficult for them to build those trust issues, and we have to help them with it. Because in any profession that you look at or wherever you are, you need to begin with trusting. So, right from trust issues to acceptance, adapting to new surroundings, to the environment, adjusting. And I realize again, sometimes I just look back and I say, I don't think, I mean, we had such problems when we were growing up. Somehow we just about managed. But when I look back as a hindsight, I realize we came from large families, like, means large families as in though we were nuclear, but then still we were four siblings. So, you realize over there at home itself that charity begins at home. All five fingers are not the same. So tolerance and acceptance comes over there. Whereas for the young ones today, it's not so. And so often when I'm talking to them, I realize what really there's, if you really go to see, there's a lot of anger and frustration. And when I ask, like, what is this anger all about? So this anger is towards yourself, anger towards, somebody else, anger towards society. And that's when a lot of things come up that, they cannot take no for an answer. And that's because being an only child, they've been getting everything in life. Parents are giving them everything up to a particular age. And then suddenly it's a snap and the no starts coming in. And that's when the child really feels that, why no? So, and again, when I talk to the students, they are always, but, parents don't understand. So I said, yeah, parents are parents. Their concern is coming out of love. Their anger for, shouting at us is also coming from love. So I said, but let us see, like, I make the students try to see their parents' perspective and try to tell them, why don't you change your way of asking? Because instead of, demanding, why not make them understand that this is a need for you and it's not a demand? And then the next thing that comes back to me is, ma'am, you talk to our parents, make them also understand. So I think it all, like, I mean, wherever I'm into, because it gives me so many different insights, whatever their issues are with respect to, like, relationships, their aspirations, because dreams, everybody dreams big. But the problem is the mindset. Like, I mean, there is so much of self-doubt. And I think what has also happened ever since post-pandemic, there's a lot of uncertainty which has crept in, which has thrown these youngsters a little off the track. There is a kind of anxiety which is just there. In fact, which again, I'm very surprised. 17, 18-year-olds having so much of anxiety attack, so much of overthinking about the future. And all this makes us as counselors give them a patient hearing, because that's all what they want, someone to listen to them. Because it's only when they start talking, when they're opening up, and they tell me also, there are quite a few of them who will tell me, ma'am, just while talking, like, it clicked, I got it. Because when they start talking, a kind of clarity also comes. It makes them see things a little better. So yeah, that's as far as counseling goes. I mean, I can again just go on, but I don't know what the time limit is. So we can, get it going again later. So
No,
yes,
I'll
ma'am.
be I'll be I'll be asking you questions related to all that you have covered, ma'am.
Oh, sure,
Considering the way,
definitely.
considering what you have spoken about, the first most powerful, you can say, which is lacking in all the relationships, whether it is with the educators, with the parents, family relationships, society handling, or whatever you can say, the only thing that is missing in not combating the issues with the mental health is listening. Nobody has that much power to just which will be able to give a ear to someone to listen to what the person is going through, whether it's an adult or whether it's a small child. Each and every one, just one person who is trustworthy to just sit with them and listen to what they are going through. Once you develop that kind of comfort level, a kind of a connectivity thing, only then the person who needs to be counseled can be on par with what is actually counseling is. So one thing is that,
Absolutely.
and yeah. Second thing is, I will just like to concentrate more on the listening part that you have said. And there is a saying that says, just listen. The most powerful way to heal someone is to listen. You just give a small 2 minutes of your ears to someone, the person is automatically healed. You don't know the wonders of this. Don't think or judge. Don't label a person. Just listen. People start to heal the moment they feel heard. You can't be a healer if you refuse to step outside of your own emotions and view things entirely from the perspective of the other person. This is what covers the listening part. So when you give a person a year, you give a person as a counselor, your job is to, because you won't say that you're being paid for it. As a counselor, it is a must for each and every counselor to step down to that level and just listen to what the person is going through from their own perspective rather than you putting a label on them. So
Absolutely. I mean,
listening is,
it requires non-judgmental. I mean, the
yes,
profession that we are in, we need to be non-judgmental. And that
definitely,
is what makes students come and talk to us.
definitely.
Just that approachable feel that they get, that thing of like, okay, ma'am makes me feel comfortable by just being me. I think that's what matters most to them. Like,
This is this is the, you can say, we all need a balanced diet that is full in proportion with all the minerals, the multivitamin, the vitamin B complex and everything. Only then the body will be healthy. In the same way, for the mind
true.
and the brain to function well, whether it's an educator or whether it's a child, we need these kind of moral boosters and multivitamins. Without these, nothing can be stabilized.
Nothing.
So this is what we actually
True.
need. And then you spoke about mental health. Considering the mental health part, do you think in pandemic parents have suffered the most?
Parents have suffered. I think everyone, because what has happened is it's been a kind of, ripple effect. One person in the family is affected, and it has created an impact on everybody, because what the pandemic did was to throw everybody under the same roof. And it really wasn't easy from, leading a very independent and like, each one walking in out at their own convenient time, eating at their own convenient time, to suddenly share the same space, watching TV together, eating, like at the same time. And there was so much of togetherness, but at the same time, it was also about putting up with, tolerating. So it has created a lot of its own. And especially, in fact, I did have private counseling clients, especially like, the 35 to 45-year-olds. I'm talking about housewives. During the pandemic times, what happened was they were so used to waking up in the morning, packing off like, their husband, their children with their dabba and everything, all that done. And then the space was all their own, the time was all their own, and suddenly that just went off.
Very
So
true.
they started feeling very claustrophobic, and to a certain extent, there was a lot of you do this, you do that. It took some time for the family to understand that no, we've got to share our responsibility, share our duties. So I think it did impact everybody, whether it was a parent or whether it was a child. It did impact everyone.
Didn't bad. Okay. And here you said, why does a child need counseling in schools? What is the actual requirement for a child to have counseling? What areas do you think will that part cover? If you think that the child really needs a counseling, what aspects have to be taken into consideration?
So, what aspects need to be taken now? What happens is a child comes to school. Now, here is where, like, more than because the counselor comes into the picture much later. The one who is actually there first is the teacher in the class. The teacher is like, they're teaching, and we all know that every student has a different style of learning, a different like way of understanding. So when the teacher is teaching, if the teacher is observant enough, the teacher will definitely observe which student is slightly different from the others, something in their behavior, something in their body language, then sometimes you have disruptive behavior, like, means a child who is constantly doing something to get the attention of the teacher. So when the teacher is very observant, the teacher communicates to the counselor that, look, I think, why don't you just have a conversation? Why don't you just meet up with the student to see, like, what it is? And like I said, it's in the first interaction, again, on the way you start up a conversation with the child, that it helps to explore whether there is something really happening over there, or it's just out of total boredom or lack of interest in the subject that the child is, behaving that way.
That
So
fills up that the teacher should have observatory skills, which is not taught in the
absolutely,
teacher training programs. Observatory skills
absolutely.
are missing. Yeah. And the third thing that I just found out with whatever you spoke is comfortability, mindset, unexpected anxiety, overthinking of the future. That is status symbol, overthinking of the future, and pressure of academics to mix with the social status. Do you think that is connecting the dots, two aspects into one? Counseling
In a
they
way,
gets included in this?
yeah, in a way, it does. It does. Like, I mean, just this morning, the session that I was taking with my students, it was a combination of time and stress management, because I had that limited time. And I was just explaining to them that every day we get credited with about, like, I mean, I think, 86,400 seconds. That's every day. That is what happens to us. And if we don't utilize it by the end of the day, it's kind of just, it just vanishes. Next day again we get. And here we are, instead of utilizing what is credited to us in that moment of time, we are thinking about, like, 3 days, 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 years down the line, which is really unnecessary, because unless I don't sow my seeds today, I cannot enjoy my fruits tomorrow. So there's no point in dreaming of the fruit while I'm missing out on the opportunity of sowing the seed.
Definitely. It is like
So
you have to see the whole process of the germination, to see the sprouting
true.
of the seed and the sprouting of the shoot, and slow the process gradually comes on the track. Yeah. So, and one more thing that I found out was belief in self. Why do you think that belief in self?
Believe in self is very important, because today we are living in the world of, like, where there's so much of comparison, so much of competition, and everybody gets onto Insta, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and it's like, oh, that one's holidaying there, oh, this one is doing there. Not only that, even when, we are expressing our ideas, there are always people who cannot, like, they will always pull you down. They will never let you, like, encourage you. There are so many people who don't encourage you, don't motivate you. And that is a time, if I have a dream, I think I need to believe in myself to make that dream come true. Because कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे, लोगों का काम है कहना.
काम में
I
कहना.
can't get carried away by that. So,
Yes,
and believing in the self again gets connected to the self confidence. So
definitely.
today, if I don't believe in myself, I mean, it's going to be very difficult for me to, constantly, because if I go by what people believe about me, which is just about 50% true,
Definitely.
they don't really know me the way I know myself. So I think it's more important that I believe in myself rather than believe what people believe, because they don't know the real me.
Yeah, ma'am. And the one thing that you spoke about personal issues, in what way do you think the person who is carrying the problems of home to a workplace, does it unknowingly affect his work pattern in the school class? And how can those educators be eh, encouraged to practice such kind of coping strategy that whatever they're facing at home or outside in the society should not be carried away in the workplace? And like they say, there is a saying, the vibes are transmitted to the children. So what do you think on this?
So yeah, when it comes to this, now if there is a personal issue that I have faced, now what I need to keep in mind is Because now, as an individual, we all are playing multiple roles. Okay. So when I'm at home, now maybe as a mother, as a wife, I have experienced some hurt, some anger, some humiliation. And then the moment I'm stepping out of home, I'm entering my workspace, I'm taking on the role of an educator. But in the role of an educator, if I'm going to let the anger, hurt, pain, humiliation of the wife and mother to come in, then I don't think I am playing the role of an educator to the maximum.
Definitely.
Like I said, I have been into acting, and that is what I learned from my stint as an actor, that you need to get into the role, and to get into the role, you've got to get into the character and give it its 100%.
Definitely.
So it just boils down to, when we are talking about mental health, it boils down to being in the here and now, focused, concentrated, and that's what keeps your mind in a happier space.
Definitely. Exactly. That is what I actually wanted. And the last question that I would like to ask you is, how do you think the joint family pattern and the nuclear family pattern come in counseling? What are the similarities, pros and cons between both of these?
Okay. Now, what happens is, to a large extent, yes, it's nice to have a joint family, because I have seen that. I mean, I see it with my own grand niece and nephew, how the impact of grandparents in the house make a difference. The grand aunts and uncles make a difference, because parents have their own pressures, have their own thing. But at least those growing years, that child has another lap to sit on, to be validated, and not like, because if they're just left to the parents, it's the laptop which occupies their lap.
Definitely.
So a growing child needs the lap of, like, everybody else in the family, and that makes a lot of difference. Like,
Definitely.
it builds a sense of security, it gives a sense of belonging. And because I have seen all these young ones, there's so much of insecurity, there's so much of constantly seeking validation, seeking that sense of belonging, approval. And that probably stems because when we come only from that two member family. And so I think joint family, at least with the grandparents, makes a lot of difference.
Wonderful. That is all that you have spoken. I will just come to a little bit of conclusion is, your whole speech and the way you modulated it covers all the 4 C's. That is coping skills, comfort level skills, that you need to develop a comfort zone for a counselor to deal with the child, as a parent to deal with the child, and coding skills, like we want coding in academics. So in the same way, counselors should also start adopting the coding skills, how to create a network pattern to understand the child. And the last is connection of all these three together becomes a counseling in a perfectly structured way. Uh, Wonderful, ma'am. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry to ask you so many challenging questions.
No, it's okay. I
So,
enjoyed answering them all.
thank you, ma'am. So here we are uh, with the part 2 of the counseling, and I would like to invite Miss Dr. Sonia Achantani, ma'am. She herself is the founder director of Dream Achiever, wonderful name. Career counselor. She is a certified POSS practitioner, AIEF certified global ambassador, member of Global Teachers Forum, National Counselor for Sports Education, SPAA India, state president for WICCI Education Policy Council, and there are many more to her. She is in the education sector for 14 years with 11 years of teaching experience and 3 years of counseling experience. She has counseled 3,000 plus students in this span of 3 years. In 3 years, it's a remarkable achievement, ma'am, because the pandemic has gifted us with wonderful students, and we had challenges to cope up with all this. She has conducted webinars, counseling sessions, talk shows, podcasts, and workshops on various educational topics for more than 30 educational institutions and organizations and NGOs. She is a co-author for the anthologies on women empowerment and education and technology with Babur International Publication, and she has been honored with a doctorate in counseling. So let us learn from the wonderful doctor what is counseling and why is counseling being labeled as a fear factor It is like Khatron Ke Khiladi counseling. The parents shy away from this term. Why, ma'am? You may
Thank you
start. The
so much,
platform is all
Sonal
yours.
ma'am. Thank you so much for the lovely introduction that you gave. Before I start off with what is counseling and why it is a fear factor, I would like to extend a heartfelt thanks and gratitude to the entire team of IIU, especially Snigdha, who's been working day in, day out and arranging this complete series for all of us. Bringing us under one umbrella is not so easy, and bearing up with all of our mad tantrums is even more difficult. Hats off to her. Thank you so much for being so sweet, Snigdha, throughout. Well, what is counseling? Counseling, according to me, is a very, very positive interaction, a healthy interaction between two people. It could be a teacher and a student. It could be a parent and a student. It could be two colleagues. It could be two friends. It could be husband, wife. It could be anybody. If you are interacting with a healthy and positive approach, you can call it counseling, because you're learning from each other, you're giving each other guidance, you are telling each other what is right, what is wrong. One is talking and the other one is hearing to it. So, this is what counseling is. We need to be observer, we need to be good listener, and we never have to give any taglines to anybody. When somebody is talking to me or somebody is behaving in a way, I cannot directly say, you belong to this category. I can categorize you in this. No, I can't do that, because I haven't got into his shoes to categorize him with that, So this is how counseling definition, according to me, works. Now, what you said, it's a fear factor. Yes. I don't know why people run away from the word counseling. They feel it is a mental disability, something wrong with our brainstorming, a kind of disease that we all are going through. And, it is like, very embarrassing to tell somebody, I need a counselor, I need to talk to somebody. No, it's not that actually. Even for career counseling, people avoid you, At times when you say, even schools at times don't call you for visiting counseling. क्योंकि उनको लगता है, मैम बच्चे काउंसलिंग से भागते हैं, बच्चों को काउंसलिंग नहीं चाहिए. आप बच्चों को समझाओ काउंसलिंग क्या है. It's just an interaction and a guidance. Automatically, once you put them into that interaction, when they learn about it, only they can come out of that fear. See, even in Khatron Ke Khiladi, they try to do the stunt, right? And when they do it, they know it's not a fear factor anymore for them, isn't it? So you need to at least give a try to it. You need to at least sit down and talk it out what you're facing to somebody. Only then can you get a positive vibe or a positive insight on it. So I hope these sessions change the thought process of everybody, and counseling no longer becomes a fear factor for anybody from now on. Now, coming to the topic that we were actually here today for is NEP counseling. Now, NEP, as we all know, the new educational policy 2020 is being drafted in a very beautiful way. It has taken bits from every walk of life for us, so that it could give a very holistic grooming to the child, to the future of our country. Now, when we talk about counseling, even for counseling, it says that it is going to be mandatory. And I think it should be mandatory also, because otherwise nobody will take up counseling and nobody will come to know how things need to change, for a better life, for a better future. So it is mandatory, but yes, for now, the government is thinking about making it mandatory only for parents of the primary sector. The small little toddies who are coming to school, little fragile people, handle with care, jinko hum bolte hain, for their parents. And it is very much needed. Why? Because, the that children go through is very different from what we can do, because we can at least talk it out, voice it out, we can take the frustration out, we can talk, fight, show our anger. But what are the kids going to do? They will show it in a very wrong way, and then that will become a long-term habit for them, which we would not like. As ma'am said, she's facing adult students these days in college and university, and she sits down counseling for them. But if we are stopping the children at this little age, then they will not carry it forward. At that time, life would become very easy, and they would only focus to a good future, a good professional life that they want to look out for. See, what happens is, if we take the example of the 2 years of pandemic that we've all gone through, it's been a very hard hit to all of us, and especially children. Why? Because they were not able to express themselves. They saw financial crisis. Many of them saw fights at home. They saw their loved ones leaving them and going. Now, many of the kids at that age don't even know what death is, what sickness is, what diseases, what illness is. They are not aware of it. But seeing all this trauma going on at home, even the kids get affected. Two parents fighting, separating out, a divorce. It's a big thing for a child to take a toll on it, That child must have been going through a big tsunami inside his heart, his brain, to fight it out that with which parent he would stay, mother or father. He needs both of them. He needs both of them. So here, the role of a counselor or a teacher is very important. You need to understand the mental state of that little one, Even when now the children are coming to school, we cannot give them taglines or judge them with their behavior. We need to understand what is the reason behind it. Why did the child do that? As ma'am mentioned it very nicely, the teachers need to be observant. I say if every school has a counselor, you have one academic counselor, one career counselor separately for your school. The academic counselor can take rounds, observe the classes, make notes of those students who are hyperactive, who are in a shell. They don't come out very openly and talk on things. Make a note of those things. And then slowly, when you get chance, and when you're visiting them every day, frequently you visit their class and you're sitting in the class with them, go have lunch with them, share tiffin with them. Out of the blue, you're attending a class, that there was an activity that took place. Take a small eraser or a pencil or a chocolate, give it to those children as reward who answer your questions, or who perform the activity. They'll get close to you. They'll start knitting with you, So when you have a knitting bonding with the child will open up to you, The child will speak to you. And that is what we need to nail it. We need to understand and that will help you to understand what triggers him in the class to that kind of behavior also. So you will not only help the child, you will also help the teacher in taking a better class next time, having a well-organized class. So it is very nice in that way. So that is why I feel counseling is very important. And it should not come only in the primary sector. It should be mandatory for parents of all ages. When you have two siblings at home, one is very good with academics, you start comparing the two children at home, देखा दीदी कितना अच्छा कर रही थी, तेरे दिमाग में पढ़ाई नहीं जाती है, तू नहीं कर सकता है, तू देख क्या करके आया है, सारा दिन तुझे कंप्यूटर चाहिए, सारा दिन तुझे स्पोर्ट्स चाहिए. That is his interest. Try to understand. Maybe he's not born to be with books. He is born to become a sports person. Maybe he's got something else. Try to understand that. And that is where, we were the other day also talking about multiple intelligences, the different learning styles. Here also we can impart with those things over here also. We need to understand the child. Best example is Tare Zameen Pe. That movie tells us, that child is going through so much. But the saddest part is his own parents don't understand him. His brother understood him, but his brother was too small to make the parents understand, what the little one is going through. But parents were not ready to accept it. So it is sad plight when you are not able to understand your own child. The best way to understand your child, observe your child, is spend some time with them. Listen to them. Those little talks, that little musty, naughtiness, they might do bratty things with you, but you need to give them that time. Because only then can you make a bond with them. So you need to understand. So as a parent, you need to understand that you cannot pressurize children for studies. That is what even the government is looking out for. You cannot pressurize them with academics, report cards. You cannot see the report cards and tell them, you did not score well in this, you did not score. I can share an example where my daughter's best friend, her parents used to compare, even a half mark she gets less than my daughter. It used to be ridiculous. Okay, she's got 19 out of 20. My daughter got 19.5. That 0.5, why you did not get more? Why did she get? You cannot compare such things. Be happy that the child is scored. You know, I'll tell you one thing, Sonal ma'am. I celebrate every moment with my kids. I celebrated the 70% result my son got in his 10th standard this year. I celebrated the 90% result my daughter got in her 10th standard. You know, these are little moments. Even if a participation certificate comes home, no, I take my kids out for lunch or dinner. Because I feel, you know, I feel connected to them. They know that parents are there to recognize. As ma'am said, no, they need to be seen, they need to be heard, they need to be valued. This is how we need to make them feel seen, heard, and valued. We need to really appreciate little things in life for them. You know, then they will never go to a counselor for any mental hazards. You know, they would not need a counselor for it, because you can yourself be a counselor to your child with a healthy, positive interaction. You know, as according to the HRD department, the stats that they shared of 2016-2018, 10,000 students have committed suicide, and it's a sad plight. You know, we've lost 10,000 human resources from our country, and it is all because of peer pressure, parent pressure, study pressure. Little students are asked to go for 3 hours of tuitions for what? Second standard, third standard के बच्चे को tuition का क्या जरूरत है? Why are they preparing for an MBA entrance? I ask. Why do you need it? Give them playtime. Give them space to explore things and learn things. You know, that is more important for them. My child did not like studying in one place. My son was very fidgety. He used to not sit down and write things. You know, his writing is still very bad, even coming in 11th. But how he learned his concepts was, he used to be with me in the kitchen, and I used to tell him, Harshal, go count tomatoes and get me tomatoes from the fridge. He used to open the fridge. Mama, kitna? 5 tomatoes. Okay. He'll pull out. No, Harshal, not such big ones. I want small ones. Then he used to sort out the smaller ones. Harshal, not a yellow one. Give me red ones. See, he learned colors. He learned sizes. He learned numbers. Innovate things for them to learn, you know. You will decrease the pressure on them. They will never get into depression. You know, we say teachers need to be innovative. Even the counselors need to be innovative. Yes. You know, when a child is coming to you, don't bombard him with questions. Why did you do this in the class? The teacher told me you were naughty. You did not do this. Why you did not do? Tell me, tell me, tell me. The child will never answer to you. Instead, make the child say, क्या हुआ बेटा? क्यों मस्ती कर रहा था? हाँ? देखो मस्ती करनी थी तो मेरे साथ आके कर. Free time में हम दोनों मस्ती करेंगे. You come share your lunch with me. Even I'll open my tiffin. We'll do मस्ती here. Don't do it in the class. The child will feel अच्छा ठीक है मैम को पता है मस्ती क्या होती है. You know, he'll start connecting to me. And when he's connecting, he'll tell me, ma'am, मेरे से ये गलती हो गई, ma'am, मेरे से वो गलती हो गई. Then I can tell him, बेटा, next time don't do such thing. You know, when you do like this, the teacher gets disturbed. Now, if you are talking and I disturb you, would you like it? So there are different innovative ways. There are different approaches that we need to give a child to understand. You know, if we bring out those innovations, I'm sure we can hit the nail, and we will never have any depressed child, any child who will commit suicide. You know, parents think after the child is gone, the family thinks after the child is gone, इसने ऐसा क्यों किया होगा? But there's no use. You cannot bring him back, right? Whatever would be the reason, you cannot get the child back. So it's no use answering those questions at that time. You should think about it. What should I do so that he does not take that step in life? You know, that is more important. So this is, according to me, what NEP is trying to bring in. And this is a vision, what the government is looking into for counseling, and expecting those counselors to come out with these kind of innovations so that we have brighter children and less depression, and brainstorming children who have a bright future. Thank you.
Yeah, that was extremely, you know, you can say constructive and productive, because we often tend to neglect the core issues that is not taught in the teacher training institute. What actually happens in the 3-hour program in the class, we tend to overlook only the academic A, B, C, D and the EVS sectors and all. But these kind of things are not taken into consideration by the teachers in the class because they are not taught in the 1-year degree courses, in the 1-year 6-month diploma courses. उनका काम है काम बच्चों को पढ़ाओ ABCD, worksheet दो, coloring दो, that is complete. But according to you, and as per my question that I'm going to ask you, ma'am, is do the teachers who are dealing with age group 0 to 8 years need to be well on par with the child psychology developmental patterns so that no child should be going for counseling?
Yes, it is needed. And I think child psychology should be made mandatory for the teachers training programs.
Yes.
And I think psychology is going to be an integrated subject even for the B.Ed now. You know, 4-year integrated B.Ed course that the teachers will have. Child psychology will be one part that they will surely learn. And I think it is essential for all the teachers to take it, because, you know, it is actually the thought process that they are learning. And if they are able to connect with their child, with the child in the class, then only can they give a productive response. You know, if they are not able to connect with the child, not able to understand the child, then it is no use. They cannot build a student teacher bond with them, you know, and that is more important. To break the ice, you need to have a positive rapport with the children. That is more important.
Perfectly. That is what I wanted to just have a vision on this. And you spoke about the NEP fragments. So what are the NEP fragments that need to be taken into consideration? Just 2 or 3 examples, ma'am. Just
see, NEP fragments, what we were saying is, first of all, they have divided the different phases of school level also for a child, you know. So that is, it is very good that, you know, every age group, they have thought how much that child can really cope up with and grasp, and accordingly they've divided them into age groups. Second thing is the counseling part that they are bringing for parents. It is really appreciable. Then the B.Ed course that they are having, they are upgrading it with better version and better vision. Apart from it, teachers training programs and certification courses are going to get compulsory for teachers. And then you also have the in and out, exit and entry level in the university level. So all this together, blend together, is really good. You know, these are just some fragments of the NEP.
Yeah, exactly. That is because normally I have seen people talking on NEP, but they tend to neglect certain aspects of it. You spoke about habit skills. How can habit skills help in counseling? What are those kind of habit skills?
See, when we are observant, you know, when we know that a particular child is into a habit. Now, I know one child is into a habit of
teething.
He keeps doing this. Yes. So I cannot keep telling him. He might also feel bad, you know, every time ma'am is saying in front of so many children and all. 1 or 2 times I will tell him. And if I have a very good rapport, maybe when I look at the child will stop it. What I can do is I can notify things when exactly he starts doing this in the class, you know. How often is it happening with him? What triggers him to do certain thing like this? So when I see that, okay, now he's getting, it could be when he's a little nervous about things, he has to submit something, or he's done a mischief and he's scared that he might get scolding from someone, scared of a punishment that could come to him. It could be anything, you know. So, or a new group of people in the class and he doesn't like it. Yes, this changing environment. It could be anything. A new teacher coming in for a particular subject or an activity, or somebody asking him question and the voice is very loud. There are many things that, you know, you need to look into. So when we are as a teacher or as an observer, we are trying to look into these things, you know, we can cut it down. I know how it happens. I can keep him busy with some activities so that he doesn't remember that he needs to bite his nail. You know, I can give him some work. Okay, you become the class monitor, collect books from everybody. Okay, you know, this is the wipe out the board, do something, you know, keep him busy throughout, that he doesn't get that chance. You know, slowly and slowly it will cut down. And when it starts cutting down, it will be out of his habit skill also. You know, we need to proxify it with something very positive for him, so that, you know, if that becomes a habit, at least this bad thing will go away without even him realizing that this was not a good habit that I had.
Definitely. You spoke about make notes of different sections of students. Here I would like to highlight, because normally what I have seen in many institutions that I have seen that हमारे स्कूल का नाम ऊंचा आना चाहिए. तो ऊंचा नाम आने के लिए, to be on the prime zone, they only highlight the students who are super achievers. There are many other super achievers, but they are not brought on the limelight. So here I would like to highlight, make notes of different students. How can the teacher create a wonderful collaborative system so that she can cater to all aspects of the students and bring them on par with each one together?
See, as we already know, each child is unique. We do learn this in child psychology,
Yes.
right? Every child is unique. Every child has potential. And the other day also, we spoke about active and passive children in
Definitely.
class. I remember. So if a teacher is really very, very interactive, very observatory, and very positive in her approach, she will not let such a thing come up in her class. You know, you need to inculcate many activities, different activities for children, where each one is given a role to play. You know,
Definitely.
each one. You cannot, you know, keep away some children and only concentrate on some children. If there are 30 children in the class, we need to see that all 30 involved, maybe in different aspects, in different ways, but all 30 need to be there so that all 30 are highlighted. There should be an equality in the class. You know, there should be no partiality, no bias. You know, when children are coming to you, you need to be, see, even we are mothers. As teachers, we are mothers also. What if the similar thing was happening with our child in his class? Would we like it? Would we appreciate it? No. We would go and confront the teacher. Then why do we give a chance for another parent to come and confront it to us? So we need to create a healthy atmosphere with equality in class.
Perfect. Yeah, that is the most neglected part that teachers don't tend to see. And you spoke about organizational skills. The teachers need to be organized. So, like for example, what kind of organizational skills you need that has to be taken care of when the teacher starts the day, and so that the children are benefited in a better way?
See, when a teacher is coming to class, usually what happens is she's coming with a lesson plan in mind, you know. First period, I need to finish this much of syllabus. I don't have much of time. I need to rush through it. Second period, I need to go to that class. I need to, no, instead of doing this, no, organize your work in a very different pattern. Have some activity-based things in it. You know, some interactive sessions with children. Take them to the ground when you're doing subjects like EVS, you know. Take them to the ground, put them in the garden or the plant area that you have, keep them in that open space. They will learn it much better. You know, that free, fresh air that they get, that atmosphere that they have brings a very positive aura in children. So we need to understand how we need to organize our work. See, if we are well organized, we are disciplined, we are punctual, then we are organized. No, believe me, that aura, that positive vibes even pass out to the students whom we deal with every day. So that is how we need to be organized, so that we don't have to tell them to get organized. Automatically it happens.
These are the small, you can say, nuances of how counseling can be taken into consideration along with the academics in the class. You don't need to take the child separate to a room. While doing the academics, you can continue with the process and assess the child accordingly where the child is lacking, so that you can say it's a kind of, you can involve the peer-to-peer factor. Let the other children teach the children with the weaker ones, and this is how the collaboration works. And lastly, I would like to have, you spoke about time at home bonding skills. The pandemic has gifted us all with 4 walls of the home, a small house where we are stuck for another 1.5 to 2 years, and which we neglected when there was no pandemic. We were rushing for work and everything. So now, considering the aspect of being locked in the house for 1.5 years, parents are somehow not able to handle certain emotional aspects of children, one laptop, rushing of time. So these are, do you think these have actually impacted the mindset and the mental health?
Of course. See what happened previous to pandemic. No, people used to say, we are so busy, we don't get quality time with family. I really miss on those things, you know. How I wish I could spend some time at home, but I'm so sorry I don't have time. Now when pandemic came as a boon to you and gave you 2 years to sit at home, work from there, and also give time to your family, you could do quality time of work and quality time of family. So what happened is you started looking out for differences. at home. And what happened is, instead of making a positive use of it, it all came out in a very negative way. So when it came out in a negative way, obviously it will throw negative only. So people started disliking the pandemic period. And what happened is, they started saying pandemic gave us only bad memories. Pandemic got only negativity in us. But did you see anything positive out of it? You had children at home. They were studying right in front of you. You could involve in different activities with them, while they were studying online. So even they would have felt good. But no, instead what he was saying, don't make noise. My meeting is going on. I need to concentrate on that. You go somewhere else and take your class. This is how people reacted.
That is what is happening. Yeah, that is what is actually happening. Yeah.
Yes, because they were not so used to it. As ma'am mentioned, each one was with different spaces. Each one was so used to living an independent life. It was very difficult for them to come. And believe me, I'll tell you, we had a gala time. We had a gala time of 2 years at home. Families who really could make it and make the best use of it, you ask them, they'll tell you all positive things about it. Definitely. Having your family right in front of you, having your husband work from home, he's there for every meal at home. The children are there, you giving them hot meals throughout, and demanding, and you all doing it together. Imagine if you had really made the best use of it. There would be no use, there would be no depression, anxiety, and loneliness after 2 years.
Yeah, I think most of them have taken it in a very negative way because of, I think, whatever their problems might have been. But considering the positive side, it's like God, it was given to us as a bombardment that you actually need a time where you need to start building up life skills through academics at home, which life skills were not taught by the teachers in the school.
It was actually a life skill exam that we all had to give, and many of us failed in it. It is
counseling. It is counseling actually happening in the real comfort of the home, with all the aspects and all the developmental aspects being taken into consideration. So this is what is actually counseling is. So wonderful. I think wonderful it was. And before I conclude the session, I would like to have Sonia ma'am just show me the screen with let us just play a small game.
Just show sure. Just give me a minute, ma'am. I'll share it.
I think Arpita ma'am is there. Arpita ma'am, please join.
Yes, ma'am. Can you see this?
Yeah, it is there. Yeah, here I would like to have a small game with the counselor over here. Let us test all of our counseling skills. This is the types of attention over here, which I have seen most of the people are going through. Number one is sustained attention. I think, ma'am, the screen is gone.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, one is the sustained attention, one is the selective attention, one is the alternating attention, and the divided attention. Considering all these attention strategies, how can you say that this does have a role in counseling the educator and the child? Go through this, ma'am. Just give me 1 line, 2 line explanation on this. Because this is what it is sustained.
It is sustained attention. You are sustaining your attention to one particular thing. Now, if you see the picture, there's a person who's grooving a nail into the wall. Now, if he diverts his scene from there, he will nail it somewhere else. The hole will be grooved somewhere else. So he needs to sustain his attention. He cannot take away from there. Now, selective is, you have selected a particular point and you're only focusing that. Arjuna was the best example for it. He used to focus his attention to a particular thing and only focus on that. So that is selective. Alternating attention is when you have certain things to pay attention to, you change it to another alternate. See, sometimes what happens in life also, we are going through a lot of stress. We have lots of things to do. But we're not able to come out with a concrete or a constructive idea. What we do is we say, अच्छा चल इसको थोड़ी देर के लिए छोड़ के किसी और चीज पे concentrate करते हैं. We come to an alternate attention. So when we are doing that, all of a sudden we get a strike on it and we get back to our work. So this is alternative. Divided attention is when you divide your attention in too many things. दिमाग इधर भी चल रहा है, दिमाग उधर भी चल रहा है. Now when I'm doing here, I'm also thinking, अच्छा रात का खाना क्या बनाना है? I need to go cook. What do I cook? Do I have something? So that is divided attention. So this is how it works.
Yeah, that is why I showed this. Why? Because counselors can incorporate these kind of strategies also to assess the child, to assess in the teacher training modules, observe the teachers, how they are handling the class of 40. So that assessment can accordingly be made on all the levels of the developmental stages.
Ma'am,
So
this is
I
not only good for students, this is not only
for
good for
everyone.
teachers program, this is even good for corporate training, you know.
Definitely, exactly.
Yes.
Because we all are going through so much, we all need counseling in different ways. Can I have a second slide, ma'am?
Yeah, sure. You'll have to give me a minute, ma'am. I'll share it.
Yeah.
I'll have to.
No problem.
Is it visible, ma'am?
No.
No? Yeah?
Yeah, this is the coping wheels skills wheel. How can counselors use the coping skills wheel, spin the wheel and try out the coping skill that you want? This is just a plain wheel. You just imagine what are the areas that you will cover for the coping skills wheel to cover the counseling part of each and every child for the educator. What areas will you fill up this with?
Ma'am, if we look at a child, for a child perspective, we have cognitive skills, we have linguistic skills. You know, these are more important for a child to really work on. So if I have to spin a wheel, I think I will be spinning on these skills more often for kids, because this is how they are going to groom themselves. Creativity skills are there, you know. So this is something that I really need out for.
Definitely. These kind of strategies can be used using the teaching aids and other thing, and counseling can be assessed in a better way to test the child apart from academics. Leave the academics apart.
You know, ma'am, as we were talking about bringing it innovations and counseling processes, these are something like that.
That is what, that is what innovation skills count upon. So this is what I wanted to just have a look on. And the third one, ma'am, can I have a third one?
Yeah, sure. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, this is for applicable to everyone. What I really mean when I'm saying I'm doing okay, does it really mean I'm doing okay, or there is something hidden behind each one of us when we say I'm okay? Because when you're on the WhatsApp and you are showing on the Facebook, there are a drastic difference between what you're going through and what you're showing on the Facebook. This is called the pandemic edition. So like, for example, replying when I'm not actually laughing. So I want you to cover each and every aspect, ma'am. How will you describe those sections? Just go through them. Replying when I'm not actually laughing.
It is a very blurred one.
I'll just give you the highlight. Replying when I'm not actually laughing. How will you say this? Replying when I'm not actually laughing.
Ma'am, it is, replying when you're not actually laughing is you're hiding something actually. You are trying to portray that happiness on your face, but you're actually not happy. When a person says, I'm doing okay, sometimes it means that he's just, दिलासा दे रहा है अपने आप को कि सब ठीक है, सब ठीक है. पर अंदर से सब ठीक होता नहीं है actually.
Definitely. And the second one is generally grateful to be alive. Does this count a lot?
Generally
grateful to be alive. We all have coped the pandemic. We have combated the pandemic.
I think this is a very positive one, ma'am, because we always teach children or anybody for that matter to thank and have gratitude towards everything. So if we get a new day to begin, we need to have gratitude for it.
Definitely. This is what actually counseling should cover up. Then we have unmitigated boredom. People sometimes find yaar bore ho rahe, kuch karne ko nahi hai. But does boredom help calm down the mental health and help in coping up strategies in counseling?
No, it in fact builds stress for you and anxiety for you.
Definitely.
There is lots that you can look out for. Try to read books, try to get into your hobby, try to talk to somebody whom you're missing. Like, there's nothing like boredom actually, ma'am. You need to involve yourself in different activities. There is lots that you can do. As ma'am mentioned, we get 86,400 seconds every day. So why waste it thinking I'm getting bored? Utilize it in the best way. You like watching movie, go ahead and watch movie for 3 hours. You like to sing a song. Listen to music.
Yeah, that is what is listening to
that really brings you out of that boredom. You can do any such thing.
And the fifth one is time spent refreshing out. You need to spend some time alone. Does that help in your mindfulness strategy?
Yes, yes, it does, ma'am. Sometimes, we have been so occupied with things that we feel a blockage in our own self. It's like, draining us out completely. Sometimes even I do that when I have counseling sessions or continuous sessions. No, I also sit down quietly in one corner. And my kids understand, my husband understands, okay, for 10-15 minutes, we can't talk to her now. Let her be what she is.
Exactly.
So once everything is calmed out, no, completely, then I get
Yeah.
back to my own self. So
You
it is
feel a
necessary.
sense of you say that we are burned out. So what is the actual strategy
Yes,
of burned out? Start adopting all the things over here, and automatically the burned out is totally erased automatically. Then we have the
yes.
secretly enjoying endless introversion. Your secret moments, secret solitude. How does this help? How can you say that?
It's good, ma'am, because it keeps you calm inside, composed
Yeah,
inside. So sometimes when you feel that, now something is really going to be very hectic for you, or it's going to drain you out or stress you out with things, quietly sit down with that secretive idea of yours and give yourself
definitely. That is
some time.
that is
It'll really
because
help you
you need those moments to ponder
to
inside your
yourself
own
also.
being. Yeah, that is what comes up.
Yes.
You come out in a much better way. Then we have scared to hope for pandemic ending. Many people were just hoping if pandemic kab khatam hoga, and pandemic was getting extended and extended and extended. COVID was again coming up. People were getting second attack of COVID. So rather than just having a negative influence, how can we take it as a positive influence that God is giving you more time to spend those moments, use it in a better way?
I remember, ma'am, I had given a webinar on this, how to take COVID positive in a positive way. If
Definitely.
possible, I will surely share it with you on my YouTube channel. I'll share it
Okay,
with you.
okay.
Just have
Makes
a
sense.
look at
Yeah.
it. You know,
Yeah.
instead of thinking when it is going to get over, because that wait was becoming longer, and the longer wait we were having, the frustration was growing within people. Instead, if
Exactly.
we had taken it as it was coming, okay, this is a challenge of life. We need to face it. Let's
Yes,
take it
yes.
as it comes. No issues. When you take things in that way, no, it starts decreasing for you.
Definitely.
But when you're
Mm.
waiting, even for let's say for an example, I have been on a railway station, my train has been delayed by 1 hour, where I keep saying kab aayegi, it gets even more delayed, it gets even more delayed. That frustration pounds out. Same
Pounds
way
up. Yeah.
happened with the pandemic also.
Definitely. So it is, it's a kind of your own personal approach. How are you going to take it? You don't need any
How you
real
take it.
counselor. Yeah. Then we have a desperate for a change of scenery. How can you go for that? How will that help in your own self-counseling strategy, and how teachers can use this method in the class to
See, I don't
relieve the
think we should
monotony?
get desperate for a change. Okay, we realize that a change is necessary for us. We should work towards a change, but not with desperation, because, desperation again will make us take a wrong decision at times, because we are desperate for it. So we might jump into something that was really not meant for us as a
Definitely.
change. So that could be a wrong decision for us. So it's not suggestible to take a change like this. Calmly, quietly think, okay, I need a change. These are the options I have. Let me work out all the options, and whichever is best, jump onto it. That should be the way.
Perfect. So I think that's all for today, and I just wanted to show these slides. This whole session, I think, was in a way, you can say self-introspection of what is actually comes in, how NEP policy can be implemented into academics in the class, fusing in between the lesson plan, the curriculum, and everything. So before I end the session, I would just like to say it is a kind of a reflection skills for all of us. This is like the heart of every part of a teaching practice is true, deep, substantive reflection. Reflective practice is an ongoing dynamic process of thinking honestly, deeply, and critically about all aspects of professional practice. It occurs spontaneously as well as in an essentially planned reflection time. Reflective practice leads to action with a view to recognize and continue good practices and act towards bringing about a change and improve on what is not working well, or even challenge practices that are taken for granted by monitoring all the aspects of the practice on an ongoing basis. So it is a kind of coping strategy, combating strategy, collaboration of all the multi-dimensional, multi-intelligence patterns. So that is all for today. I think it was a wonderful session. And thanks to Sonia ma'am for being so patient to hear my questions and answer each one in a very constructive feedback. So I would like to
It was a pleasure to do so, ma'am. It was a pleasure to do so. Thank you so much.
Thanks to Signa ma'am, and thanks to Piyush Pandit sir for this wonderful, wonderful platform to connect to all the educators and create a kind of wonderful bond system of learning together, interchange of learning and knowledge. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you for being a patient audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Snigdha. Thank you. Thank you, Ravi
Thank
sir.
you, Ravi Kumar sir, for being a wonderful audience.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry I cannot come on the camera.
No problem. Thank you, sir.